You're watching Newsday TV. I'm Jamie Stewart. Newsday investigates Nassau's partnership with ICE. Nassau police handed over more than 60 people since the county started its partnership with the agency earlier this year. That's according to data analyzed by Newsday, which found most immigrants were accused of low-level offenses. In 2 minutes, why some say these ICE transfers are violating the Constitution. The FDNY says thousands of lives were put at risk. The department's largest union says city officials withheld 68 boxes of air quality data and other information about toxins at Ground Zero. Union head Andrew Ansbro says these recently released documents could have helped diagnose cancers that killed hundreds of firefighters.
I think it's important for people to know that there were people back then that chose to protect the city's interests and not protect the interests of New York City firefighters, other responders, and the civilians that were down there.
Ansbro urged Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani to push for answers. Only in Newsday, the owner of a Kings Park bar says an ID scanner is to blame after police say they found more than 200 underage patrons there. Melissa McDougall tells Newsday additional precautions will be put in place to prevent it from happening again. 3 Celtic Crossing Tavern bartenders are facing charges. And first in Newsday, Raising Cane's could be coming to Commack. The chain wants to replace a recently closed McDonald's on Vanderbilt Parkway. If approved by the Smithtown Town Board, it would open later next year. Now, last week we told you Raising Cane's applied to open a location in Farmingdale. And the Blue Angels will be back on Long Island today. The famed Navy flight squad is prepping for next year's air show at Jones Beach. The 2026 show is moved to July 4th weekend as part of commemorations for the country's 250th anniversary. And checking out your Tuesday weather, it's dry for your commute into work, but rain could complicate your Thanksgiving getaway. As you can see on the Futurecast, rain starts to move in later this afternoon. Showers stick with us tonight and into the first part of the day tomorrow, but they move out of here in time for Thanksgiving on Thursday. It'll be mostly sunny and in the 40s for the parade. The mild weather continues through the weekend, but there could be more rain Sunday night into Monday.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
Newsday investigates ICE transfers in Nassau. Back in February, County Executive Bruce Blakeman launched a partnership with the agency. Since then, Nassau police have handed over at least 64 people to ICE, most accused of low-level crimes. That's according to data and analyzed by Newsday. Nassau County politics reporter Bahar Astadan tells us that's angered critics who say immigrants' rights are being violated.
The New York Civil Liberties Union is suing Nassau County and Blakeman over the partnership. And critics say it's a violation of due process, that these are people accused of committing a crime. They have not been convicted for the crime. And also that the partnership erodes trust with Latino community members who might be less willing to come forward and report a crime or work with police on a gang investigation. Now, Blakeman and Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, in response to that, have said, we're not randomly stopping people asking for their immigration status. We're not raiding schools and churches, but if you're accused of a crime, we will hand you over to ICE.
And you can read more on this story on Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. Only in Newsday, Long Island's Native nations coming together to mark the premature deaths of 2 boys. The boys, age 11 and 15, were sent to a Pennsylvania boarding school for Indian assimilation more than 125 years ago. Tribal leaders say the boys died in 1900 after returning home with tuberculosis contracted at the school. A remembrance ceremony was held Saturday in Kew Gardens.
And that legacy of abuse and genocidal practices has affected every Native community here.
It's not often that we get to acknowledge what was done to our communities from the residential school era. You know, it's not often spoke about by our elders, and it's not often spoke about by modern society. So this is a very big moment for all of us.
And you could read more about this story on Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. And we're continuing to highlight the jobs you do. In today's LI Works, Ken Bufa takes us to a tire shop.
Behind the sounds of drills and pops, Zima tire owner John Moraldo says you can hear the sound of hard work.
Grab your lug nuts, we're changing tires.
John Moraldo, owner of Zima Tire. Been doing this 40+ years, and I love the fact that customers are happy with the work that we do, and that's what keeps me going.
As a tire mechanic, Moraldo says you have to be a jack of all trades. You need to be able to jack up all cars to not only fix their tires, but find any other ailments.
How to fix the TPMS sensors, how to reset the vehicles when the lights are on, and also what cars have air shock, don't have the air suspension, and you got to change. Make sure you shut that off when you work on it.
And if you're good enough, there's plenty of work to be done and plenty of hours to fill.
50 to 60.
50 to 60 hours a week? How many tires a week do you think you change?
Let's say about 200 to 250.
A week?
Yes.
So with that in mind, let's see if I can service like the best of them.
All right, that's the spot. Going up and down. Look at my glove. Boom. I'm exhausted. Just a lot of muscle, man, but luckily I got plenty of it. See that? Only took, what, 45 minutes?
All right, you might not want me as your fixer, and Moraldo says if you're not willing to bend, lift, or sweat, he might not want you either.
Somebody that's not going to want to labor. It's a laboring job.
But if you can tough it out, you could be the one people count on after rubber meets road. Ken Bufa, Newsday TV.
A lot of respect for those guys. You can see more LI Work segments on Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. The city celebrated its women's soccer champions. A parade was held yesterday in Lower Manhattan for Gotham FC. The team winning the National Women's Soccer League Championship on Saturday was their second league title in 3 years. Congratulations. And you can see more of these stories on Newsday.com and watch us streaming anytime on Local Now, YouTube, and the other services you see here. I'm Jamie Stewart. Thanks for watching. More local news coming straight up.
Newsday is your source for total coverage of high school sports on Long Island, from the field to the court, with the kind of in-depth analysis you can only get from Newsday. Now streaming on Newsday TV.